Hello MotoGP enthusiasts, welcome back to ZNGP Today. The argument over whether Ducati's GP24 or GP25 is the stronger package has dominated Paddock chat, but VR46's Franco Morbidelli says the conversation has become overblown. Speaking after the Valencia test, Morbidelli urged calm and perspective, arguing that both bikes work well when they're working and that the noise around the debate distracts from what matters, getting the best result on race day. Danilo Petrucci has heaped praise on Ducati WorldSBK star Nicolo Bulega, calling him a phenomenon, and placing him on a par with Toprak Razgatlioglu, the man who's just moved to MotoGP. Petrucci's comments underline just how seriously Bulega is being taken as he mixes WorldSBK success with increasing involvement in Ducati's MotoGP program. Gresini's Alex Marquez closed 2025 as MotoGP runner-up after a breakthrough season, but he admits feeling underrated at times when compared to his brother, Marc. In a wide-ranging interview he reflected on the campaign, life in the paddock, and what it means to soon ride a factory-spec Ducati with Gresini. Don't forget to click subscribe button and the bell icon for MotoGP news update. Morbidelli cut straight to the point. The back and forth about which Ducati's spec is superior is generating unnecessary drama. He pointed out that comparisons across different tracks, riders and setups often produce misleading headlines. A bike that looks better on paper at one circuit can easily struggle at another. His message was simple: stop treating the spec debate like a soap opera and focus on the facts and on race performance. I think what happened this year, there has been too much drama between the 24, 25, 26, 20 whatever. The argument traces back to 2024, when the GP24 looked almost unbeatable across much of the calendar. Then Ducati introduced the GP25 and questions emerged about whether it was an improvement or a step sideways. That discussion intensified because satellite teams running different specs produced mixed results. Some riders extracted big performance from the 2024 spec, while factory riders on the GP25 had a more varied season. The upshot: the paddock ended up parsing every lap time as if it were definitive proof, when in reality setup, tires and rider style all play huge roles. The Ducati is a great package, it works really well, 24, 25, 23, 21 it has worked really well since 2020. Franco Morbidelli. Morbidelli argued the hard data doesn't support an alarmist view. He highlighted that the GP25's visible weakness was limited, citing Marquez's consistency on the GP25 as evidence that the bike remained fundamentally strong for top riders, and suggested most of the headline-grabbing failures were isolated incidents rather than a systemic package problem. In short, a single bad weekend, or a single circuit mismatch, is not the same as a flawed bike concept. I can tell you that both packages are really, really good when they work well. And if they don't work at their top, they struggle, like we've seen 24S struggling, like we've seen 25S struggling. The debate matters most for satellite teams deciding whether to run a 2024 or 2025 spec into 2026. But Morbidelli's practical warning to those teams is to focus less on headline comparisons and more on matching package to rider. The bike that wins for one rider might not suit another. Engineers and team managers should prioritize consistent, repeatable performance windows and avoid swapping specs purely to chase headlines. That approach, Morbidelli believes, will produce better long-term results than getting drawn into speculation. If I have to analyze clearly, the 25 has been struggling a lot less than the 24 because we've seen Marc P1, P2 basically all year long, and he was on the 25. Franco Morbidelli. Franco Morbidelli's verdict is a call for perspective. Performance swings are normal. One weekend doesn't make a season, and the noise over GP24 versus GP25 risks obscuring what teams should be doing, refining setups, understanding rider bike fit, and preparing for rule changes ahead. As the paddock heads into winter tests and preseason programs, look for quieter, more data-driven decisions, not dramatic headlines. Former MotoGP race winner Danilo Petrucci publicly compared Nicolo Bulega to Toprak Razgatlioglu after a tense WorldSBK title fight in 2025. Petrucci argued that Bulega's level this year has been exceptional and suggested the Italian's progression makes him ready for MotoGP sooner rather than later, a view reinforced by Bulega's role stepping into MotoGP test and substitute duties late in the season. Honestly, Nicolo has shown himself to be very, very strong this year. He's really proven himself to be a phenomenon, in my opinion, on par with Toprak. The context matters. Bulega pushed Razgatlioglu to the wire in the 2025 WorldSBK title fight, finishing a whisker behind the champion in a season that showcased his racercraft, consistency and development speed. That performance is the sporting foundation for Petrucci's claim. It's difficult to call a rider on par with a three-time world champion without results that back it up. Razgatlioglu ultimately won out for his third world title, as he heads for MotoGP in 2026. But Bulega made it a season-long fight. Ducati has already involved Bulega in MotoGP activities. He served as a test and reserve resource, and was called up to replace the injured Marc Marquez in the final rounds of the 2025 season. Those opportunities give him crucial experience on the Desmosedici and put him squarely on Ducati's roadmap for the 2027 bike development and a likely future MotoGP seat. That pathway is exactly why established riders like Petrucci are so bullish about Bulega's prospects. With Toprak moving to Pramac Yamaha for 2026 and Bulega positioned as Ducati's hot prospect, the talent pipeline into MotoGP is richer than ever. Petrucci's endorsement signals that insiders expect both riders to be immediate factors in the premier class, not just future hopefuls. For fans and team bosses, that raises stakes. Both Ducati and Yamaha will lean on these talents to accelerate development, gain data, and, ultimately, chase race wins. I have the utmost respect for both Bulega and Toprak. I think they can both win MotoGP races. Danilo Petrucci. Danilo Petrucci's comparison isn't idle hype. It's rooted in Bulega's results, Ducati's strategic use of him in MotoGP testing, and his decisive 2025 WorldSBK campaign. If Bulega's progression continues, MotoGP could see two very different but equally potent newcomers challenge established names, and Petrucci's words may look like a prescient tip of the hat to the next generation. Alex Marquez delivered a season that converted early promise into consistent performance. The Spaniard finished the year as championship runner-up, collected multiple victories and sprint wins, and became the best independent rider, achievements that have elevated his stock across the paddock. For a rider who spent much of his career in supporting roles, 2025 represented a full step up into genuine title contention and leadership within Gresini's garage. In terms of position, I came close to the title, although perhaps not so close in terms of points. But at least we fought, and we were the only ones to do so with Marc. We also led the championship. It went well. Alex Marquez. Despite the results, Alex admits he sometimes felt undervalued, a reaction he says is partly inevitable when you're the sibling of one of the sport's greatest figures. The contrast matters, comparisons to Marc are frequent, and public expectations can flatten the nuance of Alex's own achievements. Still, Alex is philosophical. He sees being Marc's brother as both a challenge and a learning pathway that's helped him accelerate his development. I often hear people say that I'm getting on the podium because I have a Ducati. Okay, but then, where are the other Ducatis? But it's normal if you compare me to Marc, because he's a top rider. Alex Marquez. Alex is in no rush to jump desks. He's clear he values the environment at Gresini and welcomes the opportunity to run a factory-spec Ducati next season within the team that helped him grow. That factory status with Gresini is significant. It gives him parity with the official rider's machinery while preserving the supportive, family-like atmosphere he says is hard to find elsewhere. For Alex, that combination of top equipment and trusted surroundings looks like the ideal platform for continued progress. I'm very happy here at Gresini. It's true that all riders always have a bit of hope and desire to go to a factory team, but the atmosphere I have here is hard to find elsewhere. Alex Marquez. Alex also reflected on the Marquez DNA, how natural ability and hours of work combine differently between the brothers. He gave a candid self-assessment, splitting credit between raw talent and hard work and pointing out that watching Marc's career taught him lessons he could apply to his own craft. He even recalled the emotional low points Marc endured, and how those moments informed his brother's later choices and resilience. That mix of humility and self-awareness is now a visible part of Alex's leadership, a quality that teams prize when building a championship campaign. I'd say Marc is 80% pure talent and 20% how he's worked, and me 50-50. People often say it's not easy being Marc's brother, but for me it's been the best thing because I've had to learn a lot over the years. Alex Marquez. Alex Marquez's 2025 season closed with both answers and new questions. He has the results and, crucially, the factory bike at Gresini that could let him build on this year's form. The narrative for 2026 will be whether the Paddock's perception adjusts to match his results, and whether Alex can translate his confidence and environment into a championship bid that stands apart from family comparisons. For now, he's focused on development work, the new parts program, and continuing to lead the team that trusts him. Thanks for watching ZNGP Today, and this is your MotoGP news update. And see you next time!